Thank you all for coming. My name is John Woodroof. This is a panel on building the next generation of micromobility vehicles. I'm excited to be here. It's my third Micromobility Europe show. The last two being in Amsterdam. It was really close to my office. We came down this morning, a little bit further commute. Yeah, there actually was a strike with the Dutch trains, which also made it a little more complicated. I don't know who else experienced that. But anyway, thank you guys for being here. To my left, I've got Pierre-Amans Lapeyre from Bib Batteries.
Exactly. I don't know if it works.
They have to turn them on one by one. I'll run it through and then I'll do introductions. Bob Vroegh from Vroegh Design. We know each other. Thank you for being here. We also have Antoine Messager from Kickmaker. Thank you. Olivier Coops from Tyler. And then we have Mélanie Sedda from Cowboy. Thank you. Okay. Do you want to kick off the introductions, Mélanie?
Yeah, sure. So I'm a product director at Cowboy. We are an e-bikes manufacturer based in Brussels. So we are a bit at home today. We launched our first product in 2018. And so now we are with our fourth generation of urban e-bikes that you can try out in the Belgian corner over there if you're interested afterwards.
Olivier Coops from the Netherlands, founder and CEO of Tyler. We do wireless charging of e-bikes with a charging tile. We charge through the kickstand and doing that mainly for fleets right now and shared schemes. And on Eurobike, we're going to make a big announcement. We'll also go to the consumer market with a plug-and-play charging unit for any cargo bike and e-bike to charge through the kickstand.
Right, so I'm Antoine Messager. I'm a program manager at Kickmaker. So Kickmaker is an engineering design firm that helps our clients to develop their mobility project from concept to mass production. We are around 300 engineers, mostly based in France.
Hello, I'm Bob Vroegh. I'm the founder of Vroegh Design. And I have a background in track cycling, competitive track cycling. And when I quit that when I was 19, I thought micromobility development isn't going fast enough. So I started a design and engineering firm to help OEMs with their development. And that's what we have been doing for now.
Great. And I am Pierre from Bib Batteries. So we are French-based companies helping micromobility fleets extend the life cycle of their batteries. So we do a diagnostic to understand what is the running potential of batteries. And we help them build sustainable supply chains so that their batteries can be refurbished, repurposed in less demanding application or recycled.
Thank you. And like I mentioned before, my name is John from Amsterdam. I have a company called Twotone, and we do PR marketing for mostly bike brands. But of course, this conversation is going to go beyond just bicycles. When we spoke before and we were talking about trends as far as like the next generation of micromobility vehicles, I feel like considering I've been doing this 10 years, and when we first started, we really weren't working with e-bike brands. And now I'd say almost any bike brand is going to have an e-bike option, if not e-bike first. One of the trends we discussed as a group that we noticed, and there was an example that you had, was on battery interchangeability or even like batteries as a service. You had a specific example about this.
Yes. So since a couple of years now, we have been supporting one of our clients in developing a battery as a service, where you actually will purchase the bike, but run the battery. And the smartness of that project is that one of the weak links of VAE electric bikes is the battery. And to decorate the bike from the battery and use the battery as a swappable subsystem is something that will extend the life of your product, and you will be also able to extend the usage of your product through the swappable charging station. So it's a big win for the users.
Certainly, which I mean even leads to like business models like yours or businesses like yours that maybe 10 years ago people hadn't really even considered a requirement for.
Yeah, definitely. And like exactly separating the vehicle from the battery enables to extend the life cycle of each of those products. So definitely 10 years ago it was almost impossible. I wasn't even working in that industry 10 years ago. And over the last couple of years, I think, and we will discuss it later maybe, we've seen like a change in the strategies the different actors had them. Like 4 or 5 years ago, the goal was to grow as much as they could. Over the last 2 years, it was finding a way to be more profitable and like separating assets enables to cut the cost of operating each of those and bring more circularity at the end of the day.
Yeah, it was kind of uncharted territory. One thing that stuck out for me with Cowboy, also from the presentation with the city of Amsterdam earlier, was like the data that you guys collect. I think that's even like related specifically to the work that you do, so that you guys know the state of the bikes, the average speed of the riders, the condition of the batteries.
Exactly. So we have a connected e-bike, and it manages to do a lot of things, and it's really something we strongly believe in. We think that hardware is becoming more and more of a commodity. You know, back in the days, not that many brands used to have module, but now it's becoming more of a standard. And what is setting us more apart is the software features that we develop on top and all the services we build. So, for instance, all the things you can do to prevent theft from occurring, and when it does, to retrieve your bike pretty fast. Anything you can do to make riding on an e-bike feel safer. Anything you can do to make servicing faster as well, because I think that's a bit the challenge in our industry. It's not like selling a T-shirt. When you have a bike, it's something that you need to maintain, to do service on over time. So it's a big problem that we can try to fix through software. Yeah, so we definitely use these data, and something that we also thinking about more and more, and that we see as a trend going forward, is data interoperability with cities, with different vehicles. I think a few years ago it still felt a bit like maybe far-fetched, far in the future, but now we are actually having conversations with a city like Amsterdam today to help them make their roads safer, which is, I think, very exciting as a brand to see that we are playing an active role in making cities safer. And it's something that we'll keep on seeing more, like the work that the Open Mobility Foundation is doing. It is amazing to try to come up with standard for sharing this data and making something useful out of it is very exciting, and I think it's something we'll keep seeing more and more in the future.
That's awesome. Now, I think one other thing that struck me also being here today is the distinction between like more consumer-facing bikes. We joked before about like I don't see a lot of like last mile logistics on Cowboys, maybe some food delivery, but like a lot of the bikes I think at this show are also like more fleet based, whether it's sharing or if it's like last mile logistics. Like how do you guys see that maybe with charging or design as far as like trends?
Yeah, well, I think that what you do see is the whole role of a system integrator is becoming more important. Like Fit as a system integrator that got acquired, Gobao also, and Sinban. There are more and more system integrators to make sure that all the nice features that are there are smoothly integrated and that the data becomes available. And I was very, very positive, impressed that Bosch is here with a new department for the B2B, which means that they're actually going to cooperate and become more available, because especially the shared fleets, they moved away many from Bosch because they want to have access to the data, because they want to get more features there, to be flexible. And so I think by the rise of these system integrators and Bosch being here and announcing that they do open collaborations, I hope that's going to make better e-bikes. And I'm curious about the integration between public e-bikes and consumer e-bikes that eventually, maybe not by hardware, but for infrastructure like charging, parking, that the two of them becomes more integrated in the cities and not fully separated.
Pierre, you wanted to comment on that?
Yeah, definitely, and share maybe my view on the data interoperability. Like today, it's quite easy to translate the data, to do data science on that. But collecting the data is still a super hard challenge, and I'm super happy to see that some operators do it in micromobility, but also in other industry. And now I think the time to share that data has come, because the business cases around data 5 years ago, they were quite blurry because it was completely new. So each actor will focus only on their own business cases. And today we see that there is a lot of potential that can be unlocked thanks to it. If I take an example for B battery, we collect batteries from operators like you, micromobility operators. They don't know at all the potential of those batteries. And this information is crucial to actors down the line so that they don't invest to repair or to repurpose a battery if it has no potential. So I think that transparency, that interoperability can really bring value to other actors of the chain and even maybe cut cost for your data access. I guess it will be quite hard to do any cost sharing on that, but at least you can bring more value to the table to other actors, helping them doing better with their operation. So I think it has a lot of value to do it.
Absolutely. Bob, I want to give you a chance to weigh in either on that or another one of the trends we identified of more generic, either frame design or bikes. A lot of bikes kind of look more similar at the beginning, and I think for the work that you do, especially when it comes next generation of micromobility bikes, that there's more specific applications or either pieces of hardware bikes being designed for that purpose.
Yeah, I can tell something about it. I think in micromobility nowadays, it becomes more and more clear what kind of use cases we have and what for ideal target groups we have. And for each use case, a dominant solution will evolve. A dominant form factor, as you will. Meaning that to this conversation, the sharing industry will further go away from the consumer bikes, which is totally fine because the use case is completely different. The business model is different. The consumer bike is designed and built especially to be very beautiful when a consumer buys it. And the sharing bike and the delivery bikes are made for the total cost of ownership formula. So that's a completely different approach. Both very important. But that's a completely different design approach.
I totally agree. I mean, that's one thing I have notes here about the ride distance. I think for the people that are riding Cowboys, it's typically under 45 minutes, and they're kind of riding in the morning, maybe in the afternoon, whereas the bikes you're describing, and they're getting ridden throughout the day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think where 2-3 years ago, it was still a little bit undefined what kind of use cases there were. And we saw direct-to-consumer brands with cargo solutions, and we saw it the other way around, where the delivery guy brings your pizza with a consumer bike.
Yeah.
Nowadays, that's all more defined, and consolidation will happen.
To carry more pizza.
And more pizza will be carried around. Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's great. So yeah, that kind of goes into market segmentation, and you brought up earlier the system integration. We were talking about system partnerships, also with to avoid multiple SIM cards per bike. If you remember some of the things we were referencing, kind of for the bikes that you guys were working on. Maybe it was tracking between the batteries as a service and the different bikes that people maybe would have.
Well, yes. Yeah, I recall that discussion, and he does he echoes what Bob just mentioned. What we foresee in the micromobility world is indeed segmentation that is closer to special needs that you foresee. So what we have done on the battery shared is a specific need, mostly B2B, but some B2C, and you also have some very specific design bike that address potentially some hybrid mobility through public transportation and then taking your public e-bike, or bringing your bike through the public transportation and then doing the last miles through your own transport bike, which leads to more specific design that we see. And we have been supporting lately the design of new bikes that are closer to very specific needs in terms of form factors, in terms of battery range, that are close to the usage that is needed now.
Yeah, it's definitely what I was referencing. And I think some of the mistakes we've seen in the past when it comes to like proprietary components, or I think one challenge that a lot of people here in the room probably have encountered, like if you don't have your charger with you or a place to charge it, so like a more holistic design or more cooperation for like industry standards when it comes to charging. Like what's your perspective on that, Olivier?
Well, I think the ideal is that people always have charged e-bikes available in general. And then the question is, where do they charge? At home, at work? But ideally, they can charge that same bike anywhere without carrying their charger in the backpack. That many people do if they commute. So I think it's about the occupation rate and like charge point operators moving in. I think this is super long term, but it would be, how nice would it be if you can charge somewhere in the city your private e-bike, or the parking and charging should be mixed with the fleet providers and private bikes. So it becomes, I mean, we in the Netherlands, we have, what is it, 5.5 million e-bikes, less than a million, I think 600,000 electric cars. And all we talk about is the car charging, while we want to get rid of the cars instead of talking about infrastructures or way how to facilitate people using like parking and charging your e-bike or cargo bike or other light electric vehicle.
I think, yeah, something we see at Cowboy is that for us it's less of an issue, but I guess it depends from the usage in our customers. But on average, our riders, they ride around 11 kilometers per day, and the battery range is 40 to 90. So it's way more than what you would use in a day. So charging is not that big of an issue for our customers. And if you really want to ride more than 40 to 90 kilometers, is it really the bike the best mean of transport for that? I'm not sure. Like, if you really want to commute, which is why our bikes are used for, I think the battery is already big enough and the charger is not that much of an issue. And the people who need to charge at work, typically they just take the charger with them or they buy a second charger. So we don't see it as that big of an issue. But still, I think we are looking at other ideas, like we've seen bike companies looking at USB-C to charge a battery. I think it's an interesting idea. It can cut a bit the cost. It's way greener because you don't have to provide like a fully custom charger. Then it means you can use your charger and find a charger more easily. But yeah, I think for us it's less of a problem.
For an e-bike, very often it's not a must. That's right. But I think for the maturity, for the ease of use, for cargo bike, it's much more a topic because the range is shorter, the batteries are more heavy. You don't move your cargo bike inside to charge it. So we do see for cargo, it's a bigger topic, but also for e-bikes in general. I think if carrying around your own charger is not ideal. So of course you can, but for the ease of use, especially if you have more e-bikes at home, it's not ideal. I mean, to make it super easy, I think there's a lot of innovation to be done there.
Do you guys want to comment on that more from like the frame design, product design perspective?
Yeah. I wanted to comment that we have this whole charging network already with just bringing your charger. So how do you envision an ideal charging solution?
I think there are, for different situations, different solutions. So I think it's not going to be one. And I mean, if you have, like, if you want to take out your battery because of theft, you need to charge it somewhere else. You might need a locker. But if you go in your own carport or go to work, I think there should be an industry standard there, not for the easiest solution. And we charge through the kickstand. It's a universal solution that anybody can always use everywhere.
I do really enjoy that my iPhone has this USB-C charging solution now, but that took such a long time. It is so hard in an open economy to force a standard solution, because you need to have one very dominant player and the others copy that solution, or you need legislation, which is done in Taiwan with Gogoro. They have these charging docks, but that's mostly governmental money. So if you have governmental money, they force a dominant solution. Or sometimes you see that there is an open source solution which get adopted by everyone because that's developed by the open source, and that's the way to go. But we live in an open economy, and it's very hard to develop a standard.
Yeah, with the phones, it was the Philips with the key and the Qi standard. So they created a market standard, and they're also they're active now for light electric vehicles as well. So there are a couple of initiatives to get a standard for wireless charging. So
I think even beyond just like charging or a specific aspect of the bike, in my experience, a lot of bikes, like you were saying, beginning when earlier when it was like consumer bikes designed to like look appealing, or the fleet bikes which have to like withstand the abuse that was maybe from just like a structural or like a physical design perspective. But now there's more cohesion between like cloud engineers, software engineers, like the guys designing the actual bikes, or what size wheels and those kinds of things. I think that's certainly a trend that we see happening now, where like a bike's coming that considers all of those things, and it isn't like an afterthought, like something like charging or belt drive versus chain or something like that. You guys have any thoughts on that?
Yes, no, definitely. I think starting a bike project, you're not going to start with putting the wheels and then bringing it from the bottom to ground to the bottom to the up. But in the contrary, as you say, it's now a micromobility concept will start with the architectural view. There's a lot of interesting and different components in terms of charging, in terms of locking, battery, motors. Our role, at least at Kickmaker, is really to find the right balance between performance, cost, reliability, and making sure that those are coherent between each other. And all modules will be talking to each other. So you have to have that system thought and approach to a micromobility project. And I mentioned components, but you also have all the entire supply chain that you will have to set up, and the quality you want to have across all your components that needs to be thought of. So it's definitely a system project that you need to build.
No doubt.
Not starting from the components. Yeah.
I think maybe I'm trying to keep track of the time. Now's a good time to switch to questions. If there's any questions in the audience. I think you got a mic. You got a mic coming your way. Here we go.
So there's an old saying that we love standards. That's why we have so many of them. I've long thought that the USB C standard could be used as a standard power input. The extended power, the EPR standard can deliver up to 240 watts through a USB-C plug, and you can upcharge the voltage, or uprate the voltage. What do you guys think of that? I mean, it seems like you were on the verge of that, and yes, we can talk about the problems with standards, but ultimately, if a big player takes the lead and stops having to provide every kind of charger interface, that could be a major thing for you. Just get out of the business of providing transformers with every single purchase.
Right, definitely. And taking back the example from Bob on all the phone accessories business and how long it took to get rid of the Lightning, the 8 pins from Apple. So one of the key drivers from that decision and the key leader was governmental push to stop that. If without that, we'll still have the Lightning 8 pins on the Apple. So there's needs to as much having a governmental standard that help us. And you're right, it's definitely needs to be seen by the bike brands as a new feature. You're right. It's you avoid putting and selling hundreds of charger of specific charger, and Apple have removed the charger from their phone. On top of that, you ease the usage. You don't need to bring your charger in your backpack if you want to charge at the work. And another component that you need to think is, on top of that, the power, the board that you are going to build and the component that needs to be built, you're going to have solutions that are more cost optimized. Because if everybody's designing their own board with their own chips for different power management usage, if you standardize that, you're going to have some design standards around it, which will help cost down that charging function. And it's definitely a positive spiral that we need to push. Which will be that.
Anybody else want to chime in?
Yeah, I have a question. How do we get there?
Right. Yeah. We need to suggest that, at least in our hand, to suggest that every time to our clients, you and me, and help them to balance both solutions. That's what we can do. Yeah, that's what we can do on our side.
I think also the question is charging, is that going to be, is that an OEM thing to innovate on that? Because that's quite hard to get a standard through all the OEMs, or a solution which is aftermarket. And I think that's the beauty of wireless charging, is that it does not to be integrated like off factory by the OEM. It's something from the market. If the bike shop sells it, to have it installed, because it's just easy, and you don't need the whole years and years of adaptation through the OEM chain. I think the main innovations is a lot of done was aftermarket and not through the OEMs.
And
Go ahead.
I was wondering what happened in the EV industry. Like, I think Tesla installed the Combo CCS standard, and then the European Union adopted it. But so it was a push from one of the leading actors that created the standard. But I guess it's highly linked, because it's almost impossible to charge an EV with a normal outlet. So you will need a dedicated EV charging station to do so. Then you have a strong network effect. So I guess that this is what happened on the EV industry. On our phone over the last 5 years, like, everything went to USB-C, and now I love it, and I can't buy a product without an USB-C things on it. And I was wondering, I don't use e-bike myself, so I don't have the problem to have the charger in my backpack. But I hate it. Even for my watch, it's not USB-C. I'm like, that's dumb. But I still have a standard USB. So I was considering, I don't know in the audience, if you consider buying a new e-bike's batteries, even if you don't do, will you yes or no buy a battery with a USB-C standard so that the charger is not a problem? I don't know, we can try. We will buy a USB-C, put your hands, only one or two? Okay, so that's, I don't know.
Look, these are good numbers.
50%. So, and I guess if we ask for our phones, I guess no one will buy a phone today. It's not possible anymore. But I wouldn't do it, and I guess 90% of people wouldn't. So maybe the problem is not that high today, so that the government push low there.
Definitely.
Do we have any other questions in the audience? No, I think that brings us almost to time. I think there ultimately needs to be more cohesion, and I think the conversation about the life cycle of batteries is one that keeps coming to mind for me now that we've reached this far in the game and the micromobility kind of epoch, I would say. And with more people riding, there's going to be more standardization and demand from consumers. So thank you guys for joining. Thank you guys for listening. And we'll see you next year. See you tomorrow even also. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank
Ciao.